race fans, and welcome to a very special round of the U.S. IndyCar League right here on VirtualRacing.Network. It is, of course, season 14. This will be race number 7 to 12. We're in the last half of the season. 127 laps around the historic version of the Texas Motor Speedway right here on the iRacing service, and you're watching VirtualRacing.Network. So great to have you with us. Of course, my name is Trevor Greenfield. Been with you all day, been with you since season 10, and it has been a scintillating series of events happening this season. For those of you that have been tuning us in, we've seen some really good newcomers to the league, and today we are set for some awesome action on the track. So let's see who's out there qualifying right now to get set for today's action. We get set for this Texas race. So once again, so great to have you with us here on Easter Sunday for those of you that celebrate that. And of course, all around the world, just getting into motor racing season. The U.S. IndyCar League, of course, racing all around the calendar. So 4 seasons a year, and now we're getting going with Texas, which is one of the absolute favorites of the series, and you can see why. There was Dan Ench on your screen, just taking pole position for a moment, but now Jason Lowe coming back, fighting hard, getting pole position, and we switch over to Graham Bunyan, your 3-time consecutive champion here in the U.S. IndyCar League, and looking to add to that total as he taps the outside wall. Just a little kiss for good luck for the race, I guess. There, he's got his pole position, and he'll bring it to a rest there on the backstretch. Not even going to take another lap. We've got Joe Brickey out there. Joe just down at the race in Texas with the U.S. IndyCar League. And so he brings it to a close. We'll see if we can get anybody out there. There's David Zaleski. We have not seen David Zaleski in the field for actually quite some time. He's been out for a few races, but great to have him back. And Zaleski will pull it down. He's done. That'll be 4 done. We'll see if we can actually get anybody qualifying. Well, Dominic Hart hasn't qualified yet, so he's heading out there. We'll get to him in just 1 second, but in the meantime, Jimmy Drennan, one of the other newcomers to the league, who hasn't been in every race, but he comes back and takes the second fastest time thus far. We'll jump over here real quick to David Strid, second place in the championship, and been on fire as of late. We'll see whether or not he can take that pole position away. Dominic Hart coming in with that victory, and now managing to take 4th place here for today's race. Just finishing up qualifying here. We've got another few more minutes to go as these drivers continue around. David Strid does take 2nd position, and as I mentioned, Dominic Hart now pulling into the pits, having taken that 4th spot at the moment, but there is still one more qualifier to go, and we'll wait to hold off on our celebrations of the field size for today until we can see exactly how many are going to be starting today's race. But so far, great field showing up for this race on Easter Sunday, and hope you're having a great one out there. The sun decided to poke out this morning here in the ever cloudy Pacific Northwest. We call them sun breaks here because you gotta celebrate it when it happens. And obviously today a good day to celebrate. And actually, unfortunately, as you saw there, Fahim Rahman getting kind of caught out there, unfortunately, by the end of qualifying, as does happen sometimes if you don't get in that second qualifying lap fast enough. Nevertheless, we'll run down the order for you. There it is on your screen. This is our grid for today. Graham Bunyan taking your pole position. With it will come that bonus point. We'll get to those points here just a second. Update you on where we are at in the season. But Strid going to be starting alongside his teammate and countryman of Australia, Graham Bunyan. Starting on the second row, Jimmy Drennan. And right next to him will be Dominic Hart. Hart taking victory once again and podiuming regularly. Definitely someone to circle and watch in today's race. Jason Lowe going to be starting on the third row. He can see the front from there alongside of Dan Inch, who's not known for qualifying up at the front. He's typically playing that fuel save mastery that he's known for. We'll see whether or not he can get to that today. It always depends on what the yellow flags do, obviously. So we continue. David Zaleski going to be on row 4 next to Dominic Sawicki, brand new driver driving in the league this week. Mauro Ramirez going to be back with us, and he's now a regular, so I don't know why I'm surprised, but it's great to have him in the field. And alongside, of course, stalwart regular Howard Livingston racing for Care Camps and the Coconut Castaways. Rick Levison next to Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik. We'll continue to move through the rest of this grid here and get you the final running order. Rick Levison, Kelbaugh going to be starting alongside, as I mentioned, Ryan Bowles next to Will Stearns. Then Manuel Gomez-Esteban making a return back next to Joe Brickey. Again, Brickey and Mauro Ramirez actually went down to the race here at Texas Motor Speedway for the IndyCars just a couple of weeks ago. And will they be able to carry that over here into the race? That is a good question. But Fahim Rahman and Mike West, Inigo Mardones, and David Worrell. And rounding it out will be Danny Alt. I don't think Danny's going to take the start, but this is definitely going to be our largest grid of the entire season. And we're so grateful and happy that that has happened, because nothing more fun than having more cars on track. 20, unless, of course, you're Graham Bunyan or David Strid, one of these leaders who has to work through all of the lap cars. It could be a little tiresome. We'll see if they can manage to keep themselves clean all day long today, or whether we're going to see multiple cautions. Either way, 225, upwards of 230 miles an hour we expect into turn 1 on the next lap. Will we see greatness on Easter Sunday? Let's find out. 127 laps to go. Graham Bunyan steps on that loud pedal, and we are underway here in Texas. They get up to speed here, slowly building as they head out onto the backstretch. It's Strid still in second, and that draft begins to take over for these cars. Soon you'll see them moving around on track. It's Bunyan still leading as we start the second lap. Strid in second, Drennan still holding on to that third spot. Jason Lowe managing to climb up a spot on that start, and Dominic Hart dropping two spots. There you see him on the outside, losing a spot to Dan Edge, who looked like he got very close to the wall. Ench up a spot, as is Lowe, taking those spots away from Dominic Hart. Hart kind of in trouble here, racing alongside Dan Ench. Ench now starting to slip back himself, back to that 6th place spot where he actually started. Hart seems like he's started to recover, and now we've got some more action here at the front, as it looks like Jimmy Drennan has not yet said, I'm going to tuck in behind these guys and just save fuel. He started to show his nose there to David Strid. So good stuff already, and I think the champion, Graham Bunyan, is going to need to keep his eyes on those rearview mirrors for sure. Jump down to the nose cam here, and we can see off the front it's all clear sailing for now. There's no lap cars immediately ahead, but for how long, that is the question, as all of this can change in just an instant. So great to have you with us here on YouTube. If you are watching right now, let us know in the YouTube chat. Let us know who you're watching for, or you just love IndyCar racing. If you're a sim racer, you're on iRacing, let us know. As you can see, carrying just about 220 miles an hour into the corner, and some of those cars behind going to be well over 225 in that draft as they march forward. Just watching behind, it looks like we've got Jason Lowe, who's still up in that 4th spot. And this is the time of the race where, of course, you're making a decision. How is the car starting to feel? Inheriting this setup from the league, even though Jason Lowe is the administrator of the league, it's not like he can just go out there and build whatever kind of setup he wants. Everybody's got the same fixed setup out here. They try to make it manageable for all these drivers. So everybody gets to get out there in actual race mode, race trim, which is a bit different than when you're just out there practicing. And you get a chance to really feel out the car, see how the tires are going to wear, see how the weight jacker wants to be adjusted, the anti-roll bars, all of those things that you can adjust within the cockpit of these Dallara IR-18 IndyCars. And Lowe is going to be feeling that out, as are the rest of these drivers who do this week in and week out on the iRacing service part of the U.S. IndyCar League, and of course doing all of the official racing. And there you see just behind, hey, he's been out for a couple of weeks, but don't ever count this guy out. It is David Zaleski who's making a charge through the field. Now 2 spots gained, and looking at the back of his old buddy Jason Lowe, just having gotten around newcomer to the league, Dominic Sawicki. And once again, Dominic doing a good job. He's up 2 spots himself. So which one of these newcomers is going to be able to find a way to take something away from the regulars up in front? Of course, Graham Bunyan and David Strid having so much success here in the U.S. IndyCar Series. It's the U.S. IndyCar Series. Talking about too many different series, too many different leagues. U.S. IndyCar League here on VirtualRacing.Network. Many, many wins, many podiums, a few championships later for Graham Bunyan, and these drivers are leading, and it's no surprise. So this, of course, this style of racing, well, you know, you could be up there challenging for the lead, or you could be a little bit further back. It just depends on what you want to do. As I said, as this shakes out, some cars and driver combinations going to be feeling a little bit better, and some are going to start to slip back as they've made some aggressive adjustments that maybe don't work out, or maybe the tires just not really lining up the way that they want. But for drivers like Dan Inch, that's not a problem. He'll slip into fuel save mode, maybe crank up that fuel mapping on the steering wheel. Howard Livingston, also no stranger to these D-shaped ovals. He's taken wins and podiums. And, you know, the other good thing is this is the old Texas, a much more manageable version for some of these drivers to be able to deal with here, as the new version of Texas has a different profile, especially off of turn 2, and that tends to really upset the car. So a lot of these drivers really do prefer this newer Texas version. As I believe we might have had a car possibly up into the wall. Looked like Dominic Park got very close to the wall there. We do see that David Worrell did start this race. Let's see if we can take a look a little bit further back. There he is. Dave in the cave, as he is known. And Dave joining us for the race today, but it's not working out so great so far. Back in 20th spot. Well, you can always claw your way back forward. As we know, there are, as I mentioned, there's a strong possibility for there to be caution flags here. And of course, with every caution flag, there's always an opportunity to even get a lap back for some of these drivers that might face some difficult circumstances early on. Sometimes not their doing, as you can imagine. Sometimes the doings of others. So Worrell slipping back there in the field, and starting to look like he might come into the clutches here of our leader, Graham Bunyan, and that will begin the lapping process. Very dangerous, tricky proposition for these drivers to be able to safely navigate their way around. But as we continue to apparently pay the wrong drone drivers, drone flyers to operate our cameras. Graham Bunyan having no difficulty today. It's all going pretty much to plan. Pole position, leading all of these laps thus far. And, you know, we didn't get a chance to talk about his points yet, but he has definitely basically given him an entire race's buffer in points because of his success over, well, over this guy just behind, David Strid. And, you know, this is nothing new to see Graham in this position in the championship, but it should be mentioned that for Graham and for David Strid, it is basically the middle of the night when these guys are racing here in the U.S. IndyCar League. Just part of the availability and fun of having iRacing and internet racing. But Graham is involved in the healthcare industry and a vital part of that, and so he's been under call very recently and having to work some extremely long hours in addition to obviously coming out here on Sundays and being able to race. And so, you know, we're very lucky to be able to still see the participation from Mr. Bunyan. And obviously it's always great to get David Strid's participation every week as well, as he's very active in helping to build setups and helping to practice with the league and give them exactly what they need as far as the setups go. So these drivers, nevertheless, deciding to show up today, and what a great thing, because we had over 20 cars in this field for the first time in quite a long time. I'd have to get back and look at the actual results in the past to see when the last time we had more cars than that, but that is just terrific and just a sign of the growth here in the U.S. IndyCar League. So as everybody is biding their time and we get a chance to kind of talk about some of these subjects, definitely if you are interested in joining, as we've got a few new drivers. Dominic Sawicki, I never know who's going to be new and showing up unless somebody sends me a message, and nobody did this week. So yeah, just new drivers showing up every week. It's great. Basically, just go to the link down in the description, and that will take you right over to the league page. If you have IndyCar racing experience on the platforms, or excuse me, on the platform of iRacing, just let Jason Lowe, the administrator, know, hey, I've been racing out in official races, been enjoying it, and would love to get into the league. And just very, very minimal requirements to get in. As you see, Mauro Ramirez now doing battle with Howard Livingston back in 9th and 10th position. But you can get out there too and give these guys and everyone else a run for their money and see whether you've got what it takes to challenge the likes of Graham Bunyan and David Strid. And here's a newcomer, Jimmy Drennan, who's right up there in 3rd spot. Now, I looked up Jimmy when he first appeared on the scene, which is, I can't remember if it was last week or a couple of weeks ago was his first time, but yeah, Jimmy's got a lot of oval experience. His I rating does not really reflect his extensive amount of oval racings that he's doing. He is making a lot of starts and doing a lot of official racing. And so you may not have yet heard the name Jimmy Drennan, and you haven't heard it thus far much here on the U.S. IndyCar League. But as far as oval racing goes, this is Jimmy Drennan with just a 1,374 oval I rating, but an A license. I should bring out 4.26 safety rating, which is very good. Says he's a very safe driver, doesn't cause accidents, isn't caught up in a lot of accidents in these races. And he's keeping pace in front of Jason Lowe with a 3,200 I rating, and behind David Strid with his 3,700, and Graham Bunyan with 5,900. oval iRating. And I have to just remind you, yes, these drivers do get out and race official racing, but as Bunyan and Strigg kind of open this one up here, it's been, again, Bunyan he's got his time filled. He's got a full family, very busy man. And for him to just be able to fit in an occasional race or two at night before he conks out and has got to get up in 2 or 3 hours to go back to work, he barely gets time to get out there and get these races in. But here we are working lap 32 with Graham Bunyan. It is Bunyan, Strid, and Drinnan 1, 2, 3 at the moment. That's where they qualified. We look back to Jason Lowe, who gained a spot, and David Zaleski. Lowe and Zaleski running fourth and fifth. As now is it Strid. Strid has popped in for a pit stop, and he locks those tires coming in, but he'll head down this very long pit lane here in Texas and make his way down to the box. Early stop for him, and of course, Dan letting me know that it looks like 35 is kind of the target here. So if you're just in clean air, and now we know that Strid had a chance to save a little bit of fuel if he was trying to do so. And so, he's just either not getting the fuel mileage or perhaps picking a number that works best for him, trying the undercut strategy. And we do have a very late entry to the pits there. Was that Gomez Esteban? Yes, it was. We haven't talked about him, but making a decision very, very late to get into the pits. Esteban heading down, racing for Team Mazinger. And that Super Mango sponsorship. Super Mango, one of the supermarkets down there. Graham Bunyan also taking service here on pit road. Dan Inch into the pits. Joe Bricky as well. So we seem to have a lot of top-down shots there. Dominic Sawicki now pitting also. And so this gives over the lead and a bonus point here to Jimmy Drinnan, who leads I believe his first laps here in the US IndyCar League. Just once again, and we see Jason Lowe just behind coming into the pits. I believe that's David Zaleski just behind him headed in. And now this will give over the lead to Dominic Hart, who himself will gain another point in his march towards a top 5, possibly in the championship if he can keep at it. But Hart, and just behind is Howard Livingston. Livingston heading into the pits. Hart continuing. Mauro Ramirez now also continuing for Black Tiger Racing out there. Take a look at him. He's still in second, and these drivers definitely saving some fuel, making that decision to crank up the fuel mileage button. Just lean it out a bit, get some extra miles out of that car. So we now have our leader onto pit lane, and that is Dominic Hart, as well as you saw Howard Livingston heading in there into the pits. We have Ryan Bowles in the pits, and Inigo Mardones in the pits. And so here's Mauro Ramirez. No, they're not racing for position at the moment. That's Mauro out there in the lead. He has withstood the test, and I believe he is the only driver that has not yet pitted, with the exception of Danny Alt, who did not make the start. So Mauro Ramirez into the pits, and we are now working 39 laps into this one, and I'm not going to curse it by mentioning that color of the rainbow that tends to come out frequently at this track and others, but we'll watch here. Don't want to curse this race. Let's just keep this green flag running here. I can say that color because it is green flag right now. So we'll just keep that going. And in the meantime, Bunyan has retaken the lead, but it's Strid who just set the fastest Sector 2 time. So he's definitely using that draft to his advantage. Starting to close in here. So then it's a ways back to Jason Lowe. Now Lowe trapped in the middle of this group. He's got to fight through these two cars in front. Believe that is Dave Worrell and Manuel Gomez Esteban, who just went to the outside there and let Jason Lowe go by there. Worrell pulls up the track a little bit. Now Lowe is going to be seeing, I believe that's Ryan Bowles just behind. So he's going to be seeing him, but Bowles and there Worrell, I think, getting a little close to the wall. Worrell struggling with the car. So he watches on. It's entirely likely, as we'll watch the. He's shifting there, and it does appear as though he does have some speed to hang with these guys up in front. So I was just going to say, it's very possible that the car could be damaged from the earlier incident. But, well, we don't want to miss anything up in front, do we? Oh, wait a minute. David Strid just passed Graham Bunyan for the lead. Indeed, just a moment ago. And so Bunyan now hanging on the outside. I think this might be a fuel-saving measure between these two drivers. And the driver just behind is not actually racing for position. I believe that is not Joe Bricky. Trying to get all of these cars right. Too many different red and white cars for me to keep up with. Oh my goodness. Must be before my second cup of coffee here. Happy Sunday, happy Easter to you, wherever you're watching from out there around the world. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope the weather is beautiful and sunny for you wherever you are. This race is continuing here in Texas, and two teammates from Australia working together in the US IndyCar League. Now, you can never really figure out the exact working arrangement of Strid and Bunyan, even talking with Bunyan at length and never getting a chance to talk with Strid, because Strid is a very shy man, a man of few words apparently until you know him well. Bunyan, on the other hand, not shy. Definitely not shy, willing to talk anytime that he's available, obviously. But Bunyan lets me know that they are on TeamSpeak together, but it's not exactly the let's help each other every single second type of TeamSpeak conversation that's going on between them. Oftentimes David Strid making comments like he's gonna pass people and set people up, and he's gonna run people down and stuff like that. But oftentimes they will work together if there is a need to, and of course their additional teammates over there with Mike West, who unfortunately is being shown in the pits at the moment, back in 20th position, so today not really working out for him. And Ryan Bowles also, who is still in this race, but he's now, we've got him 2 laps down. Unfortunate stuff as he's trying to follow Jason Lowe forward here, and Bowles looking to take another victory here in the league, as he's already done. So, as we're continuing here on VirtualRacing.Network, lap 52, we're working on, and you're looking at Ryan Bowles at the moment, who is currently 2 laps down, part of this group, and at the far end of that group, see Jason Lowe. Lowe currently running in 4th spot. And actually, if he's trying to fuel save, this is a very advantageous spot for him to be in at the moment. That may be something that he's looking at and possibly might be influencing what David Strid and Graham Bunyan are doing, because they don't want to get caught out. I think that's one of the major things is Well, obviously, you never know whether or not it's going to be a green flag only race, whether we're just going to go green the whole way, or there's going to be multiple cautions. So we just don't know when basically the drivers are going to have to stop. But at this point, you pretty much have to plan, I think, on it being green most of the way. It's looked very clean, and for such a large field, it's quite an accomplishment. So you see Bunyan and Strid working around lap traffic, putting, I believe that's Joe Bricky, a lap down now. Yes, indeed. Bricky right there with Fahim Rahman just behind. Both of those red and white cars. And Bunyan just in front in the blue and black. And those two cars are racing for position. So this is two teammates racing for a spot here in 13th. And normally we may only get 13 to 16 cars here. And so that might not be as important. But when you've got 20 cars out there, hey, you got to get all those points you can get. I mean, there's a difference between 13th and 12th and between the in terms of the number of points. But going back to the front here, it is David Strid who's beginning to chop and channel and work his way through. Will Stearns now going a lap down. He hung on to that lead lap for quite a long time. We do see that Mike West has had a crash. But he is now out of the race. We'll take a look at that real quick since we have a moment here, and that's just a little bit late into that. So we'll back it up and just see, is it exiting the pits? It really does appear as though he's just exiting the pits. Does it get away from him? And indeed, he just does what's so easy to do, leaving the pits there. Does not bring out a caution, fortunately. So, don't know. Sometimes I just hope that Jason Lowe just leaves the yellows turned off, the cautions turned off for the race. In fact, another league that, and actually in this league we did that last week for Darlington, and that was a very interesting experiment for those of you who joined us for that last week. That was a lot of fun. Not what we're used to seeing here in the US IndyCar League, as we see Bunyan now challenging Strid a little bit for position. Trying to jockey back and forth there. We'll see whether or not they decide to swap spots. But those two drivers racing for first and second, and of course you can see the gap time, or the gaps between the drivers over on the left-hand side on the timing tower there. Now with Strid almost a 4-second lead over third place Drinnan, and then just about a second further back to Jason Lowe in fourth. So those drivers still holding good pace out here, sticking pretty much with the type of lap times that they need to run, but it's kind of breaking wide open. And if you're trying to save fuel, that's not really what you want. If you're somebody like Jason Lowe, you'd want to be following kind of closely behind somebody so you can take your foot out of the throttle and save fuel. But no telling whether that's the strategy that he wants, or whether he wants the clean air to be able to get some faster laps in and possibly chase down these leaders. Who knows? We won't know until the 127th lap and they fly that white flag where everyone is at. But I mean, really, this could all change in an instant. I mean, I'm not even joking. One driver gets it wrong. We have something of a color of the rainbow that I won't mention happen. I'm just trying all of this, the superstitious good luck things, fingers crossed and all that. Just that we could see this thing evolve and see some true pace and pit stop performance out of these drivers without that grouping back together that happens. But we'll see whether it happens. We are officially through halfway, and congratulations to this entire field for making it through halfway here. I have been in so many official races where we don't even get 10 laps into it. And then, my goodness, this is one of those places where it just seems like it's one after another. That thing that I'm not trying to mention now. This is one of those tracks where it's just infamous. But Strid now leading here, gaining that spot from Bunyan. Some laps ago, getting bonus points for leading a lap, perhaps going to get bonus points for leading the most laps. And it's just another fun Sunday cruise for Strid and Bunyan out here high flying on the Texas Oval. Bet a lot of these drivers just wish we could just nuke that PGA1 filled monstrosity that we have now and just place this old legacy version right down in the place of the old Texas Motor Speedway, but not so easy to do, unfortunately. And it looks like Bunyan there working under some traffic. Now seeing David Strid peel off into the pits. If we can get the camera on him. There is your leader into the pits from above. 60 miles per hour here on pit lane, so slow. I mean, how do you do 220 miles an hour and not feel like you're crawling afterwards? And that's always been one of those complaints that we hear from real life IndyCar drivers. And just as Strid is into the pits, unfortunately, the yellow has come out, and it is Jimmy Drennan who will bring it out. Let's go back to what possibly caused this, and we'll see if we're on time here. He just gets into the wall on the outside. I have to back it up just a little bit further so we can see exactly what took place there, but this is one of those super easy things to do. We'll just watch it in real time. Drennan running in third place, gets so close to the outside. It's almost, let's see if there's any steering input whatsoever, because it could be an equipment failure, but if there's steering input, I'll give my input here in just a second. I'm seeing a little left-hand turning input, but it looks like it freezes up there and it's just pointed straight. As soon as he hits the wall, he begins to turn left again. So possibly a problem there for Jimmy Drennan and his equipment, but either way, unfortunate for him, and that will take him out of contention. We'll bring you back to the live picture here as Graham Bunyan has now received service here, and a number of these drivers now heading back off of pit road. So Drennan there you see at the center of the screen. Unfortunately, his day has changed dramatically. And, well, here's a driver that we did not expect to see up there in the lead, but taking advantage of this caution. And what a perfect time for us to go ahead and mention that, well, if you, too, would like to have some of the, you know, this is definitely what I would call a very, very smart move by Richard Kelbaugh to take a bonus point and get this bonus point and get the lead here for the moment, up 11 spots. And, you know, on the right-hand side, this is what is on the side pod of that race car. This is what Richard Kelbaugh stands for and believes in and has made changes in people's lives. I mean, look at this inside of this medicine cabinet. I can tell you that for those of you that have an overcrowded medicine cabinet like me, there's no better thing that you can do for your life, and I'll just say it, for your wife, to keep your life clean and clear and clutter-free. And how can you do it? Well, there's no easier way than this device right here, the StickQuik. Well, not this exact device, that's a vape on a car, but it's what's around that vape. And here, what's around all of those pens and pencils, it's the StickQuik. Yes, it comes in multiple colors. There you see red, there's black, yellow, blue, green. I have green. Of course, my name is Greenfield, so it works for me, but it's also my team color. So get whatever your team color is. It's great. It goes around any type of tool, device, anything else that you need it to that's round-ish, maybe even square. Just should work on anything. It's about the right size. 6 come to a pack, and you can get your StickQuik right now at StickQuik.com. Support the U.S. IndyCar League. Support StickQuik. Support U.S. companies and definitely make your life much more organized here in 2022. The time to do it. Get your life cleaned up. Get your StickQuik.com. StickQuik right now, and tell them that you saw this broadcast here at US IndyCar League. They'll know that their sponsorship is working well. And Mr. StickQuik out there, Richard Kelbaugh, getting those points and also getting in with the rest of the field to get a pit stop done, and still up 5 spots on the lead lap and currently racing in 7th place. So, of course, as always, we thank StickQuik for their presenting sponsorship. It ain't cheap to do these broadcasts, folks, and they do contribute greatly, as well as several others here in the league, whom we do get a chance to thank during the season. But it takes a whole team to put this on. David Zaleski, Jason Lowe, David Strid, Dan Ench, numbers of drivers working together. Of course, Richard Kelbaugh, also the steward here in the US IndyCar League. And we get to go back to green here on lap 72. It is Graham Bunyan who leads, none other than series admin Jason Lowe, who has taken over that 2nd spot. Now, what's happened to David Strid? Well, with that pit stop, it didn't cost him too terribly. He's back here in 8th spot, and he's now going to be looking on the inside. My goodness, I believe that's Jimmy Drennan who got back out there. And things getting a little crazy back in the field. Dominic Hart, unfortunately, having to pit. That means he's probably had a penalty for speeding on pit road. And now we watch David Strid, who was in the lead and running up there in that top 2. We watch him come up behind the likes of Richard Kelbaugh, who's up into 6th place and racing very, very well at the moment. But we move back up to the front. Graham Bunyan at the moment leading over Jason Lowe, as unfortunately Dominic Hart starts to fall down through the field with that unexpected pit stop. And Lowe now trying to make a challenge on the high side on Graham Bunyan. Can't do it. He'll pull it back down low and tuck back in behind. Try to maybe get another chance here as they head down into turn 1 and 2 on lap 76. Out onto the back stretch and down towards turn 3 they come. It's still Bunyan and Lowe, with Zaleski now making a hard charge. He's found his way to 3rd, and as I said, you never count this guy out. This New Yorker, boy, I tell you what, you don't know what kind of track Zaleski is going to show up at, but anytime he does, he puts his mark on that day, and he's showing his speed right now using that draft. You know, Zaleski racing with the Dale Earnhardt open face Intimidator helmet, and I think it speaks volumes whenever we get to one of these tracks that you can use a lot of draft at. Suddenly there's Dave Z right there up at the front and making his case. Usually this is where we see someone like Ryan Bowles as well coming forward. Unfortunately, not today going to be his day, as he is a couple of laps down, but you never know. It's one of those things. He might be able to get that thing together and get it up there. Hey, I'll tell you what, how about another shout out? Zaleski gaining 4 spots, Jason Lowe gaining 3 spots. Here's Howard Livingston, who's gained 6 spots on today in the carecamps.org Coconut Castaways machine, the number 13. Out there racing from his Coconut Castaways paradise down there in Florida, posting a beautiful sunrise photo of Happy Easter out to his legions of fans. Of course, Howard Livingston, a musician in Florida, and always out there performing in different gigs and such. I'd love to get down there into Florida at some point and be able to get out there and see it. Maybe we'll do a broadcast or something and get some racing in one of these times we can get down there for some sort of racing down in Florida. Graham Bunyan, though, continuing to lead. I'm sure he'd love to come to Florida once or twice in his life. But Bunyan over Lowe and Zaleski. This field not at the top 6 of this field you could cover with a blanket. After that caution, grouping the field together and breaking this one wide open. I'm sure Bunyan and Strid did not want to see that caution come out and see this one just continue green flag. But I have to say how proud I am. 71 laps, I believe we made it green with 20 plus cars out there. That's really something. But are we setting up for really something here at the end? Some fireworks here at the end of this Texas 190 presented by StickQuik. It's round number 7, season 14 of the U.S. IndyCar League, and you are watching live right here, VirtualRacing.Network. If you missed any of the races this season, hey, just make sure you subscribe. Over 90% of our viewers are not subscribed. Make sure you hit that big red button, and we'll fill your racing addictions on Sunday. Just got to show up at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be right here with the U.S. IndyCar League. As Lowe actually suffering a small issue there. We saw David Zaleski off the gearbox of Graham Bunyan. Looked like Lowe dropped back just a little bit. And now looks like Lowe kind of suffering maybe a little bit. He may have touched the wall. And that is, I'm not saying he did. He's starting to recover here. But if you touch that wall, it's Russian roulette. No doubt. You may be Texas Hold'em here. So we look a little bit further back at David Strid, who's still trying to work back up through the field in 6th place. And just ahead of him, Dan Ench now creeping into this picture here. And I say it's Russian roulette because you just don't know. A scrape one lap, maybe a 0x contact, no incident points, and just continue on with your day. Maybe a little scuff on the side pod for the team to buff out. Or you could just barely kiss that wall, or another driver get a 0x contact, and it could absolutely ruin your steering to the point where you can't even drive the car. So it is truly Russian roulette. And wow, speaking of that, and now we have a crash just behind. I believe that's Inigo Mardones. It is for the Necky Racing team, coming to a sliding close there in turn 4, and he is going to have to exit the car. We hope that Inigo is okay and he got his hands off the wheel in time. He has exited the car and safely back in the pits, did not bring out the caution. And that allows us to keep going here. And they're racing hard out here. It's Graham Bunyan up there in the lead, as he has been for most of the race. David Strid was alongside, up in front, and just off his tail for quite a while, but Strid getting, unfortunately, caught out with that pit stop, just catching him at the absolute wrong time. It could be the right time, it could be the wrong time if you're in the pits at the time when the caution comes out, but generally it does catch you a lap down, and you have to unwind yourself. Well, Strid's not going to have to worry about that. He didn't end up a lap down, but he will end up having to still march his way back through this field, and he currently sits back there in 6th. There you can watch Jason Lowe running a bit of a high line. He loves to run that high line. Whether it's New Texas, Old Texas, he loves the high line. But what else would you expect from someone with dirt track racing experience? As we see Howard Livingston now making his move around Jason Lowe to the inside as they head into 3. Tight racing here at Texas. Livingston looking to come up into podium position territory and snatch that final spot from Lowe. Lowe's gotten a couple of trophies this season, and although, I have to say, Livingston has been more consistent as of late, and it's really definitely helped him to climb into these points again. But it's going to take a series of these podium positions for him to be looking at a solid third, second place in this championship. So Livingston definitely needing to really work at it. And just behind him, Dan Ench, top 5 territory today, racing for, of course, Alzheimer's Association. We had that special race early in the season at Iowa. As you see Jason Lowe pitting there, boy, that was so fast off of turn 4. You just really, my goodness, just very little room for error. So Lowe popping into the pits and then Strid responding just behind. Was it reactionary? Why don't we take a look and see, since we have the ability to do that. So this will be on board from Lowe. We'll watch, or actually we'll jump back to Strid here and watch. Is he watching what Lowe does? No, he's already deciding to pit. He's not just trying to cover Lowe. But it does seem like he got into the pits quite well. And so we'll go back to the live picture. Zaleski now into the pits as well. He's dropping out of that top podium position to make this green flag stop. And there's your leader, Graham Bunyan, now into the pits for his final stop of the day as well. Big shout out to Will Stearns, who's recovered and managed to get up into the top 5. Of course, a couple of drivers now stopping into the pits, but Stearns last week having to sit out due to having some new puppies arrive in the house, and he needed to watch over that. About 6 new puppies. And so, well, anytime you got new kids, hey, by the way, how about this guy? Dan Ench. It's Dan Ench in the lead. He said he'd do it, and he's done it. He just passed Howard Livingston. Livingston was out there cruising around in the lead collecting bonus points. And Dan Ench said, hey, I'm not done. I want a bonus point. I like that point going into the bonus points column. Speaking of which, well, I don't know if we're going to get 2 cautions. So we'll just go ahead and, well, we'll get the tower going there. And I think we can leave the track map up. Why don't we just go ahead and take a look here while we have just a second. So I can figure out how to get it on the screen. There we go. Hey, it's the season 14 standings. This is how they actually came into the race. Didn't get much of a chance to talk about it, but Dan Ench continues to lead us around here in the background. You can see Graham Bunyan, David Strid, Jason Lowe, Dominic Hart, and then Dan Ench in the championship in 5th. And not surprising to see 4 out of those 5. Then you've got Howard Livingston, who slipped back to 6th. Not where he finished last season, that's for sure. But we'll look to see whether Howard's going to climb up today. Dan Ench with this kind of a run, both he and Howard. Howard continuing there, Ench now pitting. But looking for a top 5 possibly today, and that would do great wonders for their points in this championship. Of course, Bunyan having all of those points for winning all of those races. He's won 4 of the 6 that we have done thus far. And, well, you can have all the bonus points in the world, but you can't overcome that. So it's pretty much been catch up to Graham Bunyan here for the last 3 seasons. And Graham now looking to eclipse that championship total, take a 4th one. We'll see whether he can. That would be something fun. But Will Stearns here in 3rd spot. And Stearns continuing under the same pit stop strategy that he had. He's just in front of Graham Bunyan, who's already made his stop. And so Stearns will have to pit here very, very shortly. So Howard Livingston not yet pitted on this last and final cycle, but it looks like he's just about to do so. So let's follow him into the pits. There's the timing stripe. Looks like he got down to speed perfectly on entry. And that'll give over the lead to this guy. It is Mr. StickQuik. And so he's stuck with this great fuel-saving strategy. And as a result, he's got the StickQuik machine back up there in the lead. So Richard Kelbaugh now leading here in Texas. Having a great run today. Shown at the moment just in front of your virtual leader, which will be Graham Bunyan, who will retake that lead here very soon. As soon as Richard Kelbaugh hits. But for example, let's say that a caution were to come out. Well, Richard Kelbaugh is going to need to pit to take on fuel. No doubt about that. I do believe we have Fahim Rahman. No, he is in the pits. We had a very slow car there. Not sure who that was down low. But here, Richard Kelbaugh comes in. So anyway, if a yellow had come out, and there, Mauro Ramirez also into the pits just in front, pitting out of, I believe, the 8th position. And now Jimmy Drennan is sitting on pit road. I don't see that he has had another incident, but looks like that's going to do it for the newcomer today. And we'll look forward to seeing Jimmy back out there and getting some points at our next race. But yeah, it's possible that Richard Kelbaugh could have ended up in an advantaged position if everybody decided to bring it into the pits under that caution. Or he might have been the only one to bring it into the pits and be the only one on fresh tires. So sometimes taking yourself off strategy like that can really pay off in the right circumstances. In the meantime, he does cycle back out there in 7th spot. So once again, out of 20 cars in the field to be in 7th, you know, you're in the top third of the grid, or top third of the field. And that is really showing progress. You know, that really, and I'm not saying that Richard hasn't been fast in the past, but it's quite amazing to see these drivers that, you know, are running in 9th, 10th, 8th, sometimes getting top 5 finishes, and then just able to really dial it in, as you see Graham Bunyan now diving underneath Dave Worrell again. It's just amazing to see some of these drivers be able to get some consistent finishes, and all of a sudden, it's almost as though that confidence factor is there. Hey, I can run in the top 5. I possibly have something for even these leaders. I might be able to stick around in the front. I might be able to lead some of these laps. And that's exactly what allows some of these drivers to cross over from running kind of mid-pack to starting to get up in the front, possibly snag a win or two in the series. And won't that be a spectacular day to see Mr. StickQuik up there, not only on the podium, but in victory lane? Well, can definitely happen in the U.S. IndyCar League. So just 15 to go here. Your running order, Graham Bunyan, who has moved out to a 1.5 second lead now over this man, Jason Lowe. And familiar sight for these two. They've basically been the only ones to win championships here in the league for the last, my goodness, what, 6 seasons? So running 1 and 2 is not a surprise, but I can tell you for Jason Lowe, it's been quite a different story over the last couple of seasons. There's been so many mistakes that have possibly caught him, just little mistakes, sometimes things that weren't even his fault. He's had a couple of surgeries, definitely not able to give it 100% each and every week. But some of those inconsistencies definitely costing him in the points and taking him out of that championship fight in previous seasons. But as of late, Jason Lowe really has been pretty solid in getting some good finishes. And so once again, you can never count out Jason Lowe from a race win, especially at a place like Texas where he has so much experience. But certainly to see him climbing back in the championship points is not a shock either. So we continue to watch that unfold as we get into the back half of this season. In the meantime, hey, how about another shout out for this guy? It's already, I believe, not Easter Sunday. Probably just turned day after Easter Sunday over there. But 8 o'clock in the morning out here on the left coast of the U.S. And down under, Graham Bunyan putting in another 10 more laps after this one. And you'll be able to click off another win and really start to feel like, hey, this is the end of the push that he needs to put on for this championship. He's fought hard over the first half of the season. Definitely, I think he'd be the first one to tell you that some of these points kind of just showed up in his lap. But he did fight hard. He did show up. He has been there for each race. And he, most importantly, knows what to do behind the wheel of that IndyCar. Just definitely continuing each and every race to cement that moniker of one of the elite IndyCar drivers in the league, and certainly around iRacing. I'd be very interested to see a high-level race between him and some of the absolute very best in iRacing. It's a very, very small list of drivers, but I would certainly put Graham Bunyan in that list. And Jason Lowe is close, and David Stritt is right there knocking on the door as well. So very fortunate to get to see some great talent here on display in the U.S. IndyCar League each and every week. Once again, so difficult to get in the scheduling that you need to do to be able to show up here, but we've gotten lucky and gotten Bunyan each and every week. So will he have done enough work once this one is over? He's got 7 more laps to put in. We can't count the chickens before they're hatched, but has he put in enough points and enough effort that he can hold off David Stritt if he can't make more races? Because that was actually a threat. He thought he was going to have to change around some scheduling temporarily. Frankly, it's due to COVID kind of wreaking havoc in the healthcare world continuing. So sadly, we're not out of that yet, folks. But yeah, it was definitely a threat that he was going to have to change his schedule completely, and that would take him out of being able to run here in the league. So we continue to wait on that, but in the meantime, it's just so great to have him and all of these great drivers bringing it each and every week. And so there's Bunyan leading. We get close. We are under 5 to go. As Taylor Burris likes to say, gets the high five from Barney the Flagman up there. They're all named Barney, all of them. All of everybody, they're all like, it's like Janet from The Good Life. Anyway, back to it. It's Jason Lowe there in second, continuing his competitive fires that we have seen in the past. He didn't get a chance to really put a solid move on Bunyan today. Bunyan just playing keep away a little too well. But look who's climbed back up into that third spot. It's David Stritt. He's made a whole bunch of passes that we haven't been able to catch him in, but my goodness, what a triumphant move forward. Taking that fourth spot, or taking the third spot, that final podium position from David Zaleski. So Zaleski, though, with that fourth, Dan Inch with that fifth, those drivers going to be very happy to at least see top 5 positions here in Texas. So white flag for the man in blue and black and silver. There is Graham Bunyan. His wife's favorite band is the Rolling Stones. And that livery that you see there began as a tribute to Justin Wilson that we got to air for several seasons before we had to enforce copyright policy. But this man takes his checkered flag in Texas, and he never looked better. My goodness, an absolutely perfect race for Bunyan. Maybe a tiny mistake. Like, we'll get a chance to talk to him and find out if we're just delusional here. But, I mean, it looked darn near perfect. And I'm sure we'll get... He'll come on here and let us know, oh no, Trevor, you know, it was I was making mistakes all over the place. What are you talking about? I barely held it on the track. But that's Graham Bunyan for you, winning the race here And absolutely the class of the show, drifting back a little bit behind there of David Strid for a moment. Looked like it might be Strid and Bunyan who would kind of share the race lead and possible victory. I think we're seeing David Strid over here celebrating before Bunyan and Lowe even get a chance to do so. But they light it off here in Texas, and you can see your final running order there on the screen. It's Graham Bunyan who wins here, the Legacy Texas facility. We could just drop this old Texas track right back over the new one. We'd all love it. But there is Strid in second, and of course, I'm sorry, I have the wrong results being shown there. We'll get the right results. Nevertheless, it didn't look a lot different. It's Graham Bunyan who wins, Lowe second, and Strid there in third, Zaleski in fourth, Dan Inch with a great top five for the ALZ.org machine, and Howard Livingston bringing the Care Camps Coconut Castaways machine there in sixth place. So adding to those points, and seventh place going to Mr. StickQuik Richard Kelbaugh. Eighth place to Rick Levison, who's been back in the field. We didn't get much of a chance to talk to him, but he gained 3 spots today. And Will Stearns with a great run, getting a top 10, and gaining 5 spots on the day, getting 9th. Joe Bricky in 10th. He was at the track, so maybe it worked for him. Found a line that he liked, and he got 6 positions gained from where he qualified. You see the rest of the running order there. Mauro Ramirez, his teammate. And so once again, just great to have such a great field. 20 cars here out today, and we'll get a chance to talk with your winner here in just a moment. In the meantime, I think we do have, second place here with us, Jason Lowe. Hey, Jason, congratulations on a second place finish here in Texas. You love this track. It's the old Texas, and I think that kind of showed today. Talk us through your race, and congratulations.
Adjustments toward the end of the race, and Dave Z was catching me, and I was like, uh-oh. And so I dialed the wick up a little bit more, put a little bit more positive cross weight into the car, a little bit positive cross jacker in the car, weight jacker, and that helped me a little bit through 3 and 4. I was okay in 1 and 2, and happy to come home second today, to be honest.
Absolutely, home in second. And for those of you who didn't hear, because I had the mics turned down a little bit for one of our previous guests, you just didn't quite have the speed today for the guys up in front. It looked like you tried to get, when everything got closer together there after that caution, it did look like you tried to make an attempt to get back up there and possibly get that first place. What was that like, trying to maybe get around, or were you thinking, okay, I mean, did you want to try to get around in the beginning, run off the front, get the clean air to get around Graham, or were you thinking, okay, maybe the safest place for me to be is in second, I'll see if I can hold second and we can break away a little bit? Was there even a strategy at play, or were you just trying to get up there and make a pass whenever you could?
I did what I could, but Graham was not going to give me the bottom. He's much too smart for that, and I wasn't going to clear him around the top without somebody up front breaking the air. It just wasn't going to happen. So I did what I could, but I didn't want to do anything overly enthusiastic and cause an accident, because I would have had to really shove my car inside of him to do anything, and he wasn't having it. So, I mean, I did what I could, but at the end of the day, second place is the first loser, but I'll take it.
Well, and you know, we talk about it frequently, discretion the better part of valor. Of course, you're the series admin, so if you're going up there and sending it and taking out three-time consecutive champ Graham Bunyan out of the lead. That wouldn't look too great on the face of the league. But you got to do what you got to do as a racer, and certainly appreciate you giving it a shot. And yet at the same time, thinking maybe a little championship and maybe having more of a championship day, trying to just defend that second place. Nevertheless, up and down a little bit in the order, but you gained 3 spots today. Awesome job for Jason Lowe. Congratulations.
Yeah, welcome to a few of our new members that raced with us today. And I'd also like to thank the lap cars were super courteous today. Everyone really was heads up with that. Good race. Great to have 21 cars take the green flag, and hope everybody out there in broadcast land has a happy Easter.
Absolutely. Well, that's Jason Lowe. Thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast, Jason, from second place, and good luck with the rest of your season. And so we'll get a chance to bring in possibly Graham. Yes, we do have Graham. We're going to try to get the winner, Graham Bunyan, in before we get a chance to talk with somebody else here, because he does have to get running off. But hey, Graham, can you hear me, bud?
Hey, how you going?
There he is. I'm going great, man. I just got to see a really great race out at Texas. It was green flag most of it, but talk us through your race. You did have a chance to play with your teammate David Strid and break away a little bit, but he got caught out in that caution that came out, the one and only caution that came out, caught him down, and that kind of left you to defend off a low. You had no trouble today, but just take us through how your race unfolded.
Yeah, look, amazing. Congrats to the podium to start with. Yeah, just... who would have thought a yellow would have been brought out by somebody sneezing in the helmet? Goes back to like Mark Webber when he threw up in his helmet in F1.
Is that I remember that, and that is
oh yeah.
Yeah, he'll never live that one down. But yeah, indeed. Yeah, a yellow coming out and catching David a little bit. That's really unfortunate for him. But again, you two splitting strategies gave you the other half of that token. And so once again, now you see Lowe in your mirrors and hard charging David Zaleski coming up, even giving Jason Lowe a run there in second place. Was there a moment where you thought maybe that lead might have been challenged, and were you trying to manage the competition behind you with some aggressive defensive strategy?
Yeah, look, behind me I was watching Jason all the time, and I did leave the door open for him a few times to go and test the waters. I just wanted to see what he was doing, and I think he played it too nicely. I think if it was me, I think I would have thrown it down there. But he did what he did. And then once I seen that he wasn't going to do that, it was just a matter of just running off the white line, staying up a little bit higher to give him a little bit of arrow push to sort of push him back again, which I think then allowed Dave Zaleski to get by, I think, just due to the arrow push. But yeah, look, it was a interesting race. Yeah, a great setup. I absolutely enjoyed it. I would have liked a little bit more fall off with the tyres, but yeah, great outcome.
Absolutely great outcome for you. It really was a picture of perfection. I think there was only a moment where you slipped behind David Strid, and I didn't catch exactly what happened in that pass where he got around you. Was that a planned maneuver, or did you make a mistake? Did he just happen to get by? What was going on there?
Look, I could say I made a mistake, but no. It was to let him go by, get that point for leading a lap, just keep him up there with the points, and yeah, from there I didn't really care about being back in front. I just thought Dave ran a longer stint on the first stint, so I thought I'll try and do the opposite. So unfortunately, yeah, Dave did get caught out in the pit, and yeah, yellows are killers around here, especially when you're pitting so close to the edge of everybody just about to go in the pits, and you can near guarantee a yellow's going to come out. But yeah, kudos to everybody, man. They 21 drivers on track, or 20 drivers on track. Well done to all of them. Absolutely well done. I take my hat off, even though I haven't got one on. I tip it to them.
Well, you've been in lots of those official races, just like me, and of course, Fix doesn't even usually go 71 laps at Texas, but I've been in many official races that would never go 71 laps before there's a yellow flag, and yet here in the US IndyCar League, very frequently a lot of green flag running, and this one kind of, I mean, this is like icing on a Easter Sunday cake, honestly. I mean, to be able to just have one caution here at Texas gave you most of a green flag strategy. Of course, a little bit of that yellow coming out that forces everybody to make a decision what they're going to do. But still, great racing here. Fun to watch the strategies come out. And Graham, once again, so you didn't make a mistake, so therefore a perfect race. This is one for the books here. Just a great amount of mastery behind the wheel, and even some great defensive driving. Congratulations, Graham, on another great win and just adding to that series championship points total. Getting very close here. We're now 7 races done. I mean, I think one more race or so at this level, and you're going to be able to take an early vacation and carry that big trophy around with you. Wow.
Sounds good, but I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be close, but you never know. With my work at the moment, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, my roster did change, and I wasn't even meant to be here, but my roster changed a couple of days ago, which a lot of the hospital workers come back to work that have been subjected to COVID or close contacts. So that sort of freed me up a little bit. So touch wood, it stays that way. But yeah, it's good.
Well, cheers, and certainly appreciate all of the work that you're doing. Obviously, all of those families that are suffering at this time, not just with COVID, with everything else that's going on. And of course, Australia in a completely different time of the year than we are here in the United States. So things from floods to fires and everything else happening. But we appreciate everything that you do, Graham, and hopefully we do get a chance to see you next week, bud.
Yeah, no, touch wood, I should be here. I'm off next weekend, so unless I get called into work, I'll definitely be here. But yeah, look, there's so many different things going on around the world, and so many people dealing with so many different real life scenarios, So all I can say is everybody keep your chin up and just keep on punching forward. That's all you can do.
There you go, straight from the champ's mouth. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much, Graham. Congratulations again, bud.
No worries. Thanks, Trevor. And Jason, Dave, well done. And thanks to StickQuik and everybody who turns up week in, week out. And again, great to see a lot more people here this week.
Totally. We'll look forward to it next week and see how many we can get in the field next week. We'll get a chance to talk with some more drivers here in just a second. You see the schedule up there on your screen as Graham Bunyan continues to lead the championship and add to that points total. We're going to head to a place that's just wide open next week, Daytona. So that should be a blast. Wide open drafting. Should be tons of fun drafting. We'll look forward to that coming up next week. So let's see who else we can snag. We do still have, I saw Howard was in there for a second. I was hoping to get a chance to chat with him. But we do have Dan Ench joining us here, fresh off the track. Hey, Dan, another great top 5 for you today. It's looking good for the ALZ.org machine and just keeps seeming to get better and more competitive every single race. Congrats.
Thanks a lot. I just stopped in to wish everybody, including you, a very happy Easter from ALZ.org/Last Lap Motorsports Vehicle today. And we had a good time. Congratulations to Graham. Boy, that was some class cheating today. He did some great cheating out front and came up with a great win. And he had to, though. In all fairness, he had to, because Jason was honestly cheating his butt off trying to get up to where Graham was. And of course you got the two Davids. Well, now there's some classic cheating right there. But if it wasn't for that, all that, I probably would have won today.
Yeah, you're the only one not cheating out there, right?
Yeah, that was obvious. Isn't that obvious? I mean, But the difference for me today, slow pit stops. I lost the draft, especially on that last pit stop, and that kept me 8 seconds back at the end. I was having a pretty good race, though. I felt like I did everything I wanted to do except for the pit stops.
Absolutely. You were up there in the front challenging. You, of course, by being off cycle, you got a chance to get bonus points for leading. We're watching on screen replay where you managed to race Howard Livingston, get by him. So you were feeling pretty good in the car today and moving forward and getting to play up at the front. I mean, Dan, it's looking like top 5s are becoming the new regular for you, which is where I'm used to seeing you. But it just hadn't been that way for a few races. It's starting to come back to you. Maybe we're going to have a good end to this season. What do you think?
Well, hopefully, I finished at or above my qualifying position in every race so far, so that's always a plus.
Absolutely.
Haven't crashed too many times, so yeah, I'm having a good time out there, and I'll always take a top 5.
Well, great to bring awareness to the cause that you do for the Alzheimer's Association, and always a great part of the team over there at Last Lap Motorsports. But absolutely happy Easter to yourself as well, and thanks for wishing all of our viewers out there all over the world a happy Easter Sunday. I hope everybody has a great one, and Dan, look forward to seeing you next week at Daytona, wide open. How does it sound?
Sounds like a lot of fun, and thanks to StickQuik and Richard. By the way, Richard went into this race today feeling terrible, and he managed to stick it out and got a good finish too, and I wanted to congratulate Richard on his bravado there. And thank you to StickQuik for sponsoring.
Absolutely. And and thank you for bringing that up. I had no idea he wasn't feeling well today, but he was running very well. He got a bonus point. He was very competitive, and always great to see a series regular. And of course, the presenting sponsor of the league running really well here. So next week, it'll be right here on VirtualRacing.Network, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Be there, because there is going to be so much fun of drafting. If you love drafting at over 230 miles an hour, upwards of 240, we'll be there next week. Tune in. You'll see all the regulars. Hopefully we'll get Graham Bunyan back in there. We definitely have Jason Lowe, Richard Kelbaugh, Howard Livingston, Dan, and hopefully we'll get Zaleski in there, the Intimidator. And join us for everyone else. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe here, VirtualRacing.Network. Just hit that big red subscribe button and tick the bell. You'll get notified of all the upcoming races. In the meantime, this is Trevor Greenfield signing off for VirtualRacing.Network. It's been a production 2022 of VirtualRacing.Network. So great to have you with us on YouTube, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, have a great one. Bye-bye. We are out.